Welcome to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm sitting in today with Kristin Fike from Career Services. Kristin, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
And we're also sitting in with Parker Rose, one of our freshman accounting students here on campus at Central Penn College. Parker, welcome. This is your first podcast.
Yes, it is. Thank you for having me, Professor Miller.
You are certainly welcome. Well, why we're here today, obviously when Kristin's been on in the past, we've talked a lot about not only what Career Services offers, the different events that you do offer, but also the way that you are a part of the Colleges Against Cancer Club. And that's really what we're going to be talking about here today. And I want to give you guys both the opportunity to talk a little bit more about a very, very important initiative that Parker's been working on in conjunction with the Colleges Against Cancer Club. Parker has set out to be a new part of a Real Men on Campus initiative from the American Cancer Society. It's something that you've been doing some fundraising for over the last couple of weeks, and something that you're continuing to fundraise through the end of October. So, Parker, my first question is, let's start back at the beginning of this whole process. First of all, you're part of the Colleges Against Cancer Club. How did you get involved with the Colleges Against Cancer Club here on campus?
Well, Professor Miller, I got involved with the club when my first term, when they were doing the club fairs, and Jesse Porter, who graduated from the same high school as I did, approached me and asked if I would like to join College Against Cancer, and she told me all the sales pitches they offer. And since cancer has an impact in my family, I decided I would like to join the club and help give volunteer hours and help out in any way possible.
So tell me how cancer has been a part of your life and over the past 18, 19 years that you've been alive.
Well, it all started with my great-grandmother, who was diagnosed with breast cancer and was actually a survivor of breast cancer. And a couple of years later, she was diagnosed with colon cancer, which actually claimed her life. So she was a survivor, and cancer also took her life. And just recently, I found out my great aunt got diagnosed with breast cancer, but I am proud to announce that she is now considered a survivor of breast cancer.
That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. You know, what's interesting to me, and I've shared this with Kristin before, cancer's had a profound effect on me. My father passed away from cancer back in 2016, and that's something that my family's dealt with. Also, my grandfather, even before, I was 3 years old when he passed away, also died of cancer. So this is something that's very near and dear to me, but I suppose you'd struggle to find anyone who hasn't in some way their lives have been impacted by cancer, and I think that what you're doing is extremely noble. So, Parker, you went to the club fair, you met with Jesse, who you'd known from high school, and you started being a part of the Colleges Against Cancer. How did this initiative come about?
It just simply, I was walking around, and it just came up to me, and from previous years in high school and middle school, I volunteered in any cancer club we had. Like, I remember in my 8th grade year of middle school, I was part of the Cancer Kickers and the Relay for Life team. Also, I was in high school as a part of student council, where we had a cancer team for the Relay for Life. And like I mentioned earlier, cancer been in my family, helped putting an end to it and getting rid of the vicious disease that takes many, many lives on a yearly basis, and officially coming with a cure is a big part of my goal to help any way I can.
Of course. Now, one of the questions I have for Kristin. Kristin, obviously you've been a part of the Colleges Against Cancer, and I know that we've talked about this previously, but what was it about this horrible disease that not only made you want to stand out and be an advocate on our campus, but develop a club that has been going on for quite some time? How did you start by getting involved with this club?
Absolutely. So I got involved with the club because my reason is for someone who was diagnosed with cancer at a very, very young age at 25. So I saw this club as a way for the young adults on our campus to be able to bring awareness to campus, to fundraise and just, again, put an end to cancer, as Parker had mentioned. So I had a good friend who was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer at 25. And unfortunately, she passed away at 32. So again, just the aspect of being that young and being diagnosed with that and having to deal with it for 7 years, I wanted to be a big part of the club to help other young individuals, who are going through it, and to prevent that from anyone else in the future.
One of the reasons why I absolutely love being a part of this Central Penn College community is the fact that we have such a important part of our graduation requirement in that we are to, and obviously from a career services angle, you understand this, about our giving back to the community as a requirement. And it's funny because sometimes I'll hear students make a comment, and I don't think that they mean it in the way that it comes off as, but, that's just one more thing that we have to do, one more box we have to check, and so many people don't take it seriously. Part of the reason, Parker, and I'm sure you're aware of this, obviously you're very involved in the community, one of the reasons that we do that is because we want to know, when you graduate from Central Penn College, that you have an internship, which is required of our students, but also at a minimum of 25 hours for our associate students, 50 hours for our bachelor's students, that something can be put on their resume. But it also, in other ways, really helps students network and get out into the community and work with influential people in the community and get involved with something that they genuinely care about. Something that I'm very passionate about, and I've spoken about before on not only this podcast, but certainly in some of my presentations and, when we're talking about the baseball games, is I have a son who's on the autism spectrum, and I have been so honored that I've been able to coach his Challenger baseball team. And Challenger Baseball is a wonderful organization. We play in the Camp Hill branch that gives individuals with special needs the opportunity to play an organized sport. And that was one of the things that had always bothered me about my son, was that he was super athletic, but he really struggled. We tried to get him involved in some sports, and he really struggled with understanding the rules, understanding what was appropriate things to do. We got him into running, which he enjoyed, but it wasn't the same. Running is now while cross-country teams are teams, running is a very individual sport. The fact that I was able, and still am able, to work with him really had an impact on my life. And Parker, the reason that I bring this up is because in today's day and age, when people are going for a job, students right out of school, entry level, which you will be when you graduate, the individuals that are interviewing for these positions want these entry level individuals to stand for something. It doesn't matter what it is. They just want to know that they're civically minded, that they're willing to go above and beyond the call of duty, and that they are concerned about more than themselves. So I just want you to know, from my perspective, and from certainly I'm sure Kristin's as well, what you're doing means so much to so many people, but it also is going to mean a lot to you and who you are and who you will become as an individual. And I think that it's wonderful that you've stepped up to the plate here. So before we get into some of the things that Parker has done so far, and I don't want to give you any spoilers away, but to come very, very close to a personal goal that he has, tell us about some other things the Colleges Against Cancer Club has either just completed recently or has coming up in the month of October and beyond.
Absolutely. So today, as we are speaking, we have an ice cream truck out in the quad with Christie's Whistle Stop. So any proceeds that we make from that truck today will go towards our Light the Night team. So Light the Night is a walk and initiative that is through the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So our college student club president, she is a leukemia survivor.
Oh, wow.
So, we're here for her today specifically, and for anyone else, family members and survivors, and in memory as well. So we have that today specifically. Coming up for the fall term, we'll be continuing Parker's campaign, and also will be a large part of the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk at City Island on Saturday, October 20th. That's the same day as Fall Harvest. harvest. It's bright and early, first thing in the morning at 8 a.m., so students can come out and walk there. I will be there. Come find me. We can walk together, and then we'll be coming over for fall harvest.
You guys are going to have a jam-packed day.
Yes, we will.
And so that's October the 20th.
Yes.
Saturday, October 20th. Not only will you be doing the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk, you will be a part of Fall Harvest. Mm-hmm. Well, let's move right into that. So I want to talk, Parker, a little bit more about some of the fundraising you've done. Now, Parker, when you first set out on this Real Men on Campus initiative, your goal was $500. Very quickly, you managed to shatter that number. And as we sit currently, you have beaten that $500 goal, and you've actually extended that goal. So can you just tell us what some of the things that you've done to get yourself to that point where you've beaten your goal in such a short period of time?
So with the help of Kristin, we had many different scenarios how we had people donate. Just yesterday, we had the faculty and staff of Central Penn College, which I want to give a shout out to and thank them very much for donating money and dressing down to help for my campaign. I found that we raised, Kristin, $128, did you say?
$138.
$138 for that. Our biggest fundraiser was the handcrafted cards, where we had a goal of selling 15 and we ended up selling 16, which then I checked my balance. It turned out to be I had a nice over $200 check in there that really sent me over the goal. And just last Friday or two weeks ago, we had a pink all out at the Hershey Vineyards, where I received $100 from the Hershey Vineyards and the people that came out and supported my campaign there. So, and it's just very good to get the goal so early. And I just want to thank everyone who helped me raise this goal and continue to help the fight end the breast cancer and all cancers.
Well, what's very interesting about the Vineyard and Brewery of Hershey is that one of our alumni is one of the co-owners, Mike Wilson, gentleman who I know very well from Central Penn events and events out in the community, and I'm positive that he was very, very pleased to be able to have you. Tell us a little bit about that event. So the event was specifically called the Pink Out the Deck Night. This was at the Vineyard of Hershey on Friday, September 7th. Can you tell us a little bit about that event?
Yeah, it was a little VIP access event for us on the deck. It looked like it was going to rain, but it was a beautiful night overall. People that came paid $10 to have a good time. There was light refreshments. They had a band there, booze for the adults, of course, and also food for the others. And it was just a good night to connect with all the, not just me being the Real Men Across Campus, but all the men who are in the Real Men campaign, to come together, talk about why they did their campaign, and make a stand of why we're there.
Well, what does it mean to you? Because obviously breast cancer is thought about something that only affects women, and of course typically that's the case. But what about some of the other people impacted in those women's lives that may have breast cancer, whether that is husbands or sons or nephews? I mean, all these people who are involved who maybe aren't necessarily heard from. What does that mean to you to be able to have and give that voice to men who are and have been impacted by this horrible disease?
It's real good because, helping people that have a significant other, someone that's a sufferer, it knows that they're not alone, and they have someone by their side that's willing to help dedicate their time with funds or volunteering to help make the family feel good that are going through a rough time. And I believe people who are survivors and currently going through cancer, and when they have those extra people by their side helping them fight, encourage them, I think it helps them put an end to continue to keep fighting to beat the disease and help put the fight to cancer.
Fantastic. So again, we're speaking here today with Kristin Fike. She's the advisor of the Colleges Against Cancer Club here on campus, and we're speaking with Parker Rose, who is one of the real men on campus through an initiative through the American Cancer Society, Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. They just recently had several events that already got him past his goal with another several weeks to go by working with the Vineyard and Brewery at Hershey, working with the local organization, giving out handcrafted greeting cards, doing a faculty and staff dress down day, and other personal donations. So as we move toward the end of our podcast, what I'd like to do is let you guys talk a little bit more about some of the things you have coming up. Obviously, you are doing the walk, but you mentioned fall harvest. So this is something we're back for fall term now. We're sitting here, we're thinking about fall harvest, and what is it that you guys are planning on doing during fall harvest, and how can people who maybe are coming to campus get involved?
Absolutely. So our Colleges Against Cancer Club, we are a part of Fall Harvest every year. And because it is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we always have something pink at Fall Harvest. So we have pink merchandise that we sell, which are bracelets, pins, things of that nature. As Parker will talk about, he has pink socks as well. So we will have pink merchandise there. We have baked goods as well. So we always have a table representing Colleges Against Cancer at Fall Harvest. We also like to give out information about the American Cancer Society and making strides against breast cancer. So through that initiative, there are a lot of different ways that current patients and family members can be a part of their services. And we try to give out some of that information, like being a part of Hope Lodge, if they need lodging as they're having treatments at the Hershey Med Center, or they need a wig after going through chemotherapy. So we try to bring that awareness to campus as well.
And those listening to this the day that this is released, tomorrow is a big day for every club here on campus as we have Club Fair. You will obviously be at Club Fair. Sell a new student on why they should join your club here at Central Penn College.
Sure. So our club, we do as much as we can for every type of cancer out there. We do a lot with breast cancer and leukemia and lymphoma society, but we do, honestly, any type of cancer we try to work with. So this is an opportunity for students who, cancer has affected them to be a part of all these different initiatives that we have. And our mission is to raise awareness and to raise money to give to these organizations. That is what our goal is. So we give to these organizations to end cancer.
That's unbelievable. I love this club, and I'm so glad that we have several student clubs here that are dedicated to not only helping out in the community, but also doing fundraising to give back to the community. Long term, before we go back to Parker to close, long term, what are some of the other things that you guys have done previously to keep an eye out for as far as other fundraisers, maybe between now and the end of the year?
Sure. So during the fall term as well, we are going to have an event in early November. It's called Bras Across Campus, which is an awesome event here. It's tied to the Feel Your Boobies Foundation. So that is a foundation that specifically is targeting young women to know and understand that they can be affected by cancer. So we get a whole bunch of bras and we string them out on the bridge here on campus. It's a fun event. Last year, our soccer teams came out and supported in their pink jerseys. So it's a fun afternoon. That's something to look forward to.
And is this the third annual?
Third annual.
That's amazing that
Yes.
you've been able to coordinate this. And obviously, I know it's not just you. I know it's your wonderful club members as well. So, Parker, just one final question before we get out of here today. So very early on, so you had started fundraising at the beginning of September. By September 13th, not even 2 weeks, you've gotten to that $500 goal. And off air, you'd said that you've now made a personal goal to get to $1,000. What does that mean to you? What will that mean to you when you are able to hand that check over to the American Cancer Society? What's that going to mean to you personally?
It's honestly going to mean I feel I was very helpful, and that I dedicated this to like I said earlier, my great-grandmother and my great-aunt, and also the people who are going through cancer, knowing that the impact I made, that I helped put a fight to help survivors and people who are currently going through this vicious disease, and to help with the funds that I raised for them to, like Kristin said, buy a wig or help with chemotherapy or treatment they need to become healthy and cancer-free.
It's just, I'm so happy, and I'm honored to have you here today, first of all, Parker, but I'm so happy that there are students here like you that are so young and still so civic-minded. The only thing that I can tell you is if this is something that really means something to you, make sure you keep a part of this and make sure that you do whatever you can, not only while you're here, but as you continue in life, because being involved in the community is one thing that makes us who we are. And if we are not actively involved in trying to give back to that community, our life might feel a little hollow. But when you're able to give back into the community in whatever way that you feel comfortable with, and that's back to what I was saying earlier, I don't want the students to look at this as a requirement. I want them to look at this community service as an opportunity to give back, an opportunity to meet people, like-minded people who care about the same things. And I think that it's wonderful that somebody who's been here for just a short period of time, Parker, has already made such a tremendous impact. So on behalf of everyone who's ever suffered because of cancer, I just want to say thank you. And Kristin, thank you for doing such a great job with this club.
You're welcome.
Just a couple of things I wanted to run by everybody. If anyone would be interested in making any types of personal donations to this, you can email Parker directly at parker.rose@mymail.centralpenn.edu. If anybody is interested in the Colleges Against Cancer Club, the bras across campus, or if you're interested in the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk, you can email Kristin Fike at centralpenn.edu or give her a call at 717-728-2213. Guys, we got to help Parker get to this goal of $1,000. His goal is this is going to be running through the end of October, through October the 31st, and we got to make sure we get you to that $1,000, my friend.
And right now, I'm proud to report that we are close to $700 already.
That's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. So it's my honor to have you down here, and I'm hoping that we can get some more people into the club to help continue your mission. So, Parker, thank you seriously so much for everything you've done. Thank you for coming down today, and best of luck in your continued fundraising until October 31st.
Well, thank you for your support, and thank you for having me, Professor Miller. It was an honor being here.
You're very welcome. And Kristin, of course, thank you very much for joining us today, and thank you very much for helping Parker reach his goal, all the amazing work that you do with the Colleges Against Cancer Club.
Thank you, Professor Miller.
Certainly not a problem. All right, so for one of the real men on campus, Parker Rose, and for Career Services and advisor of the Colleges Against Cancer Club, Kristin Fike, this is Professor Paul Miller, and we will catch you next time on the Nightly News Podcast.
This is Dr. Linda Fedrizzi-Williams, and you are listening to the Nightly News Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Nightly News Podcast. This is Professor Paul Miller, and I'm sitting in today with everybody's favorite guest, Adrienne Thoman. Adrienne,
I love that one. Thanks for having me back.
Well, certainly, and one thing I have been trying to do is I've been trying to throw a little sound effects on when you come on, so every single time you hear yourself on the podcast, you get a little applause, so yay. I enjoy that very much. We're also sitting in with Nightly News Secretary Dylan Kleintop. Dylan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And Andrew Day, one of the new summer members of the Nightly News, has done several big stories for us, member of the soccer team, and is going to continue being a contributing member of the Nightly News. So, Andrew, is this your first podcast?
Yes, this is my first.
Well, we're very glad to have you on. Andrew just coming down, checking out the studio today. He's going to be on a couple more podcasts the rest of the term. So we are happy to join everybody here for our fall term. Adrienne, we always have a ton going on in the fall.
This is the crazy month. We know it's going to be busy. October's the busiest.
Well, not only that, for as far as the flow of students goes on campus, fall has to be our biggest because we have a lot of new students coming in summer. We have an even bigger amount of students coming in fall, and then, of course, everybody back at it. I know some of our students do take the summers off, go home and work, and that kind of thing, or they're out on internship. Everybody's back, Adrienne, in October, so we're going to have a ton of things going on here in October, and the number one thing that we want to start off talking about before we get to Adrienne's Featured 3, of course, is coming up on October 26th. That's the Humanities Film Series with Airplane. Professor Tom Davis going to be presenting off the fourth installment of our Humanities Film Series.
I've never seen this movie, so have you guys
really?
seen it?
No, I've never even seen it.
I read one of the things online that he had posted, and it's, he says his introduction's about absurdism.
Yeah, so if you guys, are you familiar with Airplane, even at all?
I don't know.
Have you ever
I heard
seen?
it had great reviews.
Have you ever seen The Naked Gun?
Yes.
Okay, it's along those lines.
The
It's
Naked Gun's funny.
like Scary Movie, like those types of like slapstick comedy. It's old school, but it's hilarious, and you guys are gonna love it. But what's very interesting about this specific occasion is what the Nightly News is going to be contributing to this. That evening, from 6 to 7, before the movie starts, and during Professor Davis's presentation, we are going to be offering food for donation. Now, we've done this before in the past, and we used it as a media club fundraiser. But, Adrienne, we really have been passionate about getting involved with the college pantry. We had Lindsay Garber on last term to talk a little bit more about that. But what we're doing here is we are going to give 100% of our profits that we make after we pay for the food directly to the college pantry, and we are also going to ask people in attendance to bring any of the items needed, not just food, some of the personal care products as well. So
That's awesome.
Something that we really wanted to do in this particular occasion, because we've, as the Nightly News, have really been talking about the importance of this college pantry. Now, gentlemen, from a student perspective, what does it mean to you, even whether you need it or not, what does it mean to you and to other students to have the opportunity to have something like this on campus? Dylan?
I mean, it feels good because, like, before, like, on the weekends or whatever, like, you only had, like, one meal from Wise or whatever. So you could just go down to the food pantry and, like, pick up literally anything, like, anything you need. Like, for example, like, I know Brian needed, like, soap or something. Instead of going to buy it, he would just go down to the food pantry. It would save him, $2 or whatever, but it would still save him money, and he could just use it. Like, he didn't have to drive anywhere. You just walk down, grab it, and come back.
Well, and you make an interesting point there, is because not everybody on campus has transportation, and really now with like some of the local stores in the area closing, it's growing to be a little bit more difficult. Now, I will say, Adrienne, you're excellent at doing van and shuttle runs to local grocery stores and the mall and things like that. So the students, it's not like they can't get this stuff, but those types of things, if you don't have transportation, it might be tough for
It
you to
limits
get
you.
those things. So I really think this is cool. Andrew, what are your thoughts about the college pantry going forward?
I think there's a lot of people that don't really know when they go to a store, they don't really know what they want, and I think that it's really critical that we have something like that here on campus that allows students who don't have cars and other things like that to be provided with things, and also provided with free options, when considering a lot of them probably don't have the
The jobs, the capital, the money.
Well, yeah, the money to support unnecessary things like toiletries and other.
Well, at the beginning of your day, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're not thinking of is, do I have enough soap or do I have enough toothpaste? It's, I need to get something to eat. And a lot of times when it's get something to eat or have those things, often the food takes first dibs, So I do think that this is a very wonderful, wonderful initiative started by the school here, and we at the Nightly News are going to do anything we can to support it during the Humanities Film Series Airplane. That's going to be on October the 26th. Doors are going to open at 6 o'clock. We're going to have a little area that everyone can sit down and eat. And again, just a donation or some type of food donation, or there's also a list of things that they are looking for as well that we can provide on our website.
And one thing just to add about the food pantry is it's not just our residential students. It's been used equally by residential commuters. So it's not just one population of students that it's been able to benefit. And, we've been able to see, I'm so impressed with, our Student Government Association, how they worked with Residence Life and a certain committee of staff here on campus to build this process. It's a great room, a great program, and now...
Where is it located?
It's in Bollinger. It's in kind of behind the NPR. So you would fill out a request online. If you were anybody that's interested in requesting foods, you fill out a request online. The link is in the quick links in Student Central.
And
so
we'll
when you
put
get
it
your
along
email,
with the podcast as well.
And then once it's filled, usually takes a day or two, it'll get filled, and then you'll pick it up in the mailroom. So it's an easy process, and you can request up to 4 times per term per student.
So something excellent, students. If you're out there and you are in need of any of these things, please consider filling out a form. Just try it out once. See how it goes for you. At worst, you're going to have some things in your cupboard to start the term. So definitely something we're looking forward to. Adrienne, something else that I wanted to share a little bit more about with everyone is an event that we've planned coming up on October the 17th. It's called Info Night on Social Media. This is going to be on, again, October 17th, and it's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. in ATEC 200 and 202. Now, what this is, Adrienne, is this is the first time we've done something like this. What we're doing is we're asking parents and teens in the community, so I guess we're looking for high school age, middle school aged students and parents to come along, and it's going to be an evening where the parents, we're going to have like a parent track and we're going to have a student track, and our four professors, myself, Professor Lear Limpy, Professor Chow, and Professor Davis, are all going to have a different panel. And I'm going to be speaking on reputation management, and everybody else is picking something a little bit more from their own backgrounds to talk to the local community about. So we're inviting the community on campus. Really, really big thing. We've been working on this. We've probably been talking about this for like 6 months now. So definitely something out there that I wanted to talk about. Adrienne, I love the fact that we are able to invite the community in for something like this, something of value, because to me, I think a lot of parents don't understand social media to the point. Now, they might have a Facebook page, but they don't understand maybe what else is out there. They don't understand the repercussions that might come from a middle school or high school student being on social media.
Absolutely. And this is a great opportunity to get those people on campus to learn more about that.
And that's certainly something that we've identified as a topic that people in the community really want to learn a little bit more about. One final thing that I wanted to speak about, of course, before we get to Adrienne's Feature 3, everyone's favorite segment, is the job fair that's coming up, the Career Services Fall Career Expo. That's going to be on October the 25th in the Conference Center from 10 to 1. Now, Adrienne, this is the biggest event that Career Services does each and every year. Can you just talk a little bit about, did you ever have any chances to go to any job fairs or anything like that when you were in college or even since then?
I feel like I was a bad example. When I was in school, I did not take advantage of these opportunities, and I wish I would have. You know, our students now, well, first of all, our students now they're required to do internships. So to be able to make connections, you know, your connections aren't going to get you the job, but your connections help you to get the interview. And that's, you got to get in the door. So anytime you have the opportunity, if I wouldn't have had my first part-time job in radio, I wouldn't have gotten my first full-time job in my field in radio. So it's really, really important to make those connections. So I highly encourage, get your butts in there and meet some of those employers.
What I love about these job fairs is not only does it give the students an opportunity to meet these people, just as you mentioned, and that's super, super, super important. It also allows students to understand what jobs are out there. Mm-hmm. Because I think, you know what, I never really took advantage of job fairs. I remember going to one or two when I was in college, but I was so dead set on being on air on the radio that the day that it came to me that, look, maybe this isn't going to happen for you, and I need to move on to, or at least broaden my horizons a little bit, it was really upsetting to me because I didn't know what else was out there. I was so laser focused on a radio job, and then when I realized it wasn't so much that it didn't happen for me, it's that I didn't make any money. Which is, of course, still a problem in radio today, as anyone who's ever worked in radio will tell you. But and that one day I just woke up and said, you know what? Maybe this radio thing isn't going to work, but now what? And that's why I really think that job fairs are super useful at junior, senior level in college, and even as freshmen. I even took my CPC Foundations class there. It's to understand what jobs are out there in your field. What types of companies are hiring now? Because that's really what we're looking for. I mean, I would never dissuade somebody from following their dreams, but at some point you might be open to something that you didn't even realize existed. Right. And I think that's what these job fairs can do.
I think it gives a good idea of what an entry-level position in the field looks like. Because if you're just getting into the workforce, okay, your dream might be to be, you know, the morning personality on Wink 104. But guess what? You're going to have to start out on the Saturday night hot mix trying to get get the experience board hopping until you do. You've got to be able to work up to it. So what does an entry-level opportunity look like, and where can you go from there?
So what you're saying is, what's your career path going to look like? Like, if you want to get to this position, what is your career path going to look like? And I think that's very insightful, Adrienne. Gentlemen, you went to with one of our classes when we went to Writing for Digital Media last term. Not only did you go to the internship fair over the summer, you also wrote about it. So now that you're a couple months behind, a couple months in the future, what can you take away from that last experience, and are you planning on going to this one?
Well, I'm definitely planning on going to this one because I'm a senior, and I am looking. Well, I did have an internship lined up, but things didn't work out as planned, so I am looking for a new internship. At the last job fair, the company that I was supposed to work for was actually there, so I did most of my time talking to them and introducing myself to them because before that I was just focused, I would just email them and stuff. I never actually met them in person before the job fair. So I met them in person. I walked around to 3 or 4 different companies, and I just told them what I was. But I already had my mind set on the other company, which I won't do again because it didn't work out. So I did get an email from other companies, but I never actually followed through on it because I had already filled out my application. I already had an interview with the other company. I hope for this next one, I hope that some of the companies that were at the last one are at this one.
They will be.
So then I can follow up with them and talk to them and reintroduce myself.
Dylan, you make a really awesome point there. For anybody, and I don't mean to use this maybe a negative situation, but it's a learning moment, because what happened was you, by your own admission, focused on one specific company, much like I was just talking about. Then, when it didn't necessarily work out, then you're sort of back to square one. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should just send their resumes out to 500 companies, because that's not useful either. But if you can identify a few companies and they're all sort of battling for you, and then that allows you to maybe negotiate and get a better deal when you do actually get hired. So I hope that, and you still have some time too. Don't make it sound like you're running out of time and this is the worst thing that ever happened to you. You still have plenty of opportunity, and I really want, and I'll do anything I can for you at the job fair. So
Thank you.
Andrew, what was your experiences? Was that your first job fair that you went to?
Yes, that was my first job fair, actually.
And what were your impressions?
Well, I followed around a couple, or probably 10 or so people I talked to while I was there. Basically, I feel like, I don't know, a couple of them brought interns, and they had already seen what they were doing, and sort of kind of I don't know, being mentored and reared in the direction towards a permanent position. And I think what was really cool is they actually took on several interns and made them into full-time employees. However, I mean, I had looked at an internship outside of the college fair. I actually, with my father currently, but however, I'm probably going to go to this one just to find an internship closer to in the Harrisburg area, so that I can stay on campus or something like that. That will allow me to go more towards a direction based off of finance and business administration rather than mainly business administration.
There's plenty of opportunities here, especially if you are able to go to these job fairs. And I'm glad that you enjoyed it. But, I'm hoping at a minimum, at least if now that you've gone to one, now that the second one's going to get easier, you're not going to be as nervous. You're going to be more prepared. And the third one's going to be even easier. And then by the time maybe you're out of school, maybe you're in your internship, and you actually go to a job fair when there's a lot more on the line, you guys are going to be ready to rock and roll, and you're not going to have the same jitters that maybe other people do. So I do hope that everybody does mark on their calendar the Career Services Fall Career Expo. That'll be at the Conference Center on October 25th. Adrienne, that brings us to our favorite segment of the week, Adrienne's Featured 3.
Oh, yeah.
Adrienne, what is the first event we have on Adrienne's Featured 3?
Well, first of all, October is all about homecoming and all of the excitement of fall festival. We're going to talk about all those things. So I'm going to lead into our featured 3 with AAB, the Activities Advisory Board. They selected a comedian earlier on when they were at APCA, the conference early this year, Derek Knobsnyder. And he's funny. He's going to be great. He's coming to our Capitol Blue Cross Theater on October the 18th. He'll be here at 7 o'clock. I think it's going to be a great show, super fun. And then afterwards, Student Government Association is doing like a post-show game night kind of thing. So it should be a great, great night.
You did the game night over the summer, right?
Game night?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
Really good.
Because
Really
I
good.
remember talking about it, and you were saying you weren't sure how it was going to go because it was the first time. So
Well, there's always a lot. Uno is incredibly competitive. I will say that. We
Yeah.
have a lot of top Uno competitors here.
I never know. Okay, so Adrienne's featured 3, number 1 is Derek Knobsnyder, and that will be on October the 18th with a SGA post-show game night. All right, Adrienne, what is number 2 on Adrienne's featured 3?
Okay, so number 2 is I'm kind of squeezing 3 events into one, but it's all part of our homecoming weekend.
We'll give you a pass.
All right, so on the 20th, October 20th, is our Fall Harvest Festival. Now, those of you that have been to Central Penn for a little while, you know this is our annual tradition. It's from 10 to 2 that Saturday. It's a really, really special day. Everybody is invited. So friends, family, community, faculty, staff, everybody is welcome. We want everybody to come on campus. There are inflatables and food trucks and just different vendors that are selling stuff. And as some members of our podcast here might be aware, our homecoming court is announced and our king and queen are nominated. I'm looking at Dylan right now because he is on the court.
Yeah, so if any students or faculty are listening, you can vote for me, Dylan Kleintop, DYLAN KLEINTOP.
I like that way to throw that plug in there. Very good.
And we, for the first time in the Nightly News, we're going to have a table, and we're going to be giving away our publications, and you're going to be able to meet your illustrious podcast host and many of our other co-hosts that we have on the show. So please, if you do come to Fall Harvest, please be sure to stop by the Nightly News booth. Adrienne, so first Fall Harvest 10 to 2 on October 20th. What else is going on that day?
So that night, then we're going to get back together. The students are going to have their homecoming dance, which begins at 9 p.m. in the conference center. DJ Bub's going to be there. He's actually one of our students and always has a blast DJing for us. So we're going to have him there 9 to midnight. We'll announce the court again while we're there. And of course, celebrate our king and queen a little bit as well, newly nominated. So that's going to happen that night. And then the next day, Sunday, we do what's called Kegs and Eggs. Let me clarify. It is birch beer, root beer kegs, but it's going to be a blast. We have a lot of fun. The conference center actually is going to have full breakfast, eggs and potatoes and all that good breakfast goodness, along with the root beer and birch beer kegs. And that starts at noon. So you don't have to get up early. So if you're up late from the dance, you'll have to... you can sleep in and then come and join us for a brunch at noon, Kegs and Eggs on that Sunday.
Going to be a wonderful homecoming weekend on the 20th and 21st. All right, Adrienne, the final event on Adrienne's feature 3 is...
My heart is beating just talking about this. I'm terrified. On October 25th, the Student Government Association is leading a trip to Terror Behind the Walls. So this is at Eastern State Penn in Philly, and they take, I think that place... have been there in the daytime, and I think it's scary. I can't even imagine doing it at a nighttime Halloween thing. But they're going to go. I'm driving, and I know they're going to make me go through it. I'm scared already, but it's going to be so much fun. And we're hoping that lots of people join us too. It's only $15 for students. The rest of the price will be sponsored by the Student Activities Office. Transportation's obviously provided. And yeah, although you'll have to put up with me screaming the whole time.
We were talking about this off air. What are you so scared about? They're just actors. They're not going to hurt you.
I don't know. Like, what kind of background checks do they do? I'm
Probably
scared.
none. Probably none.
Yeah, which is terrifying.
Well, I mean, they're not going to hurt you. I mean, come on. Yeah, I think you've watched too many scary movies where that kind of stuff happens.
Maybe.
I've been to so many of these, and they don't even touch you. Like, they don't even get close to you, and you can't touch them either.
You actually can pay extra, though. We are not doing that, but you can pay extra at this place. I think that you got like a special like bracelet or something that they can touch you.
Really?
And they can lock you up in cells and like
That's a new one. I've never heard that.
there's another like there are levels. We are not doing that level, but
What if I kick in for the extra just so you can have that
No.
special wristband?
no.
All right. Terror Behind the Walls, if you're interested in going to that, that's going to be on October the 25th, and that's at Eastern State Penitentiary. A very cool opportunity even to just go to a historical place. But, all right, Adrienne. Before I recap everything, I did just want to point out we do have two, even though they are two Nightly News members, we do have two men's soccer team members, and there are several opportunities during the month of October, including October 18th and October 27th for men's home soccer matches. Dylan, at the time of recording, how are things going with the team?
Things are going pretty well. Currently, we sit at 4-1-1. We started the season off against a scholarship team, and we actually tied them. And then we had 4 straight wins.
That's awesome.
Recently, our last game we lost. We were supposed to play them today, but that game got canceled. Our next game is Friday at home. We should win, and then we should win the next 2 or 3 games.
Optimistic, I love it.
If everything plays out, we're actually looking really forward to the tournament at the end of the year in Virginia Beach.
So you guys are definitely
we're all trying really hard to get there. Last year we actually got asked to go, but Coach Doug said no because he didn't think we were prepared enough for it. This year we're definitely prepared for it, and I definitely think we would get asked to go and play it. It'd be pretty cool to go down there for 4 days.
Well, we're so proud of you guys. That's great.
Congratulations on a wonderful season thus far. And please, guys, make sure that you're going to get out on October 18th and October the 27th. And those home games are at Adams Rickey Park. You can always check Go CPC Nights for more information. All right, we're going to do a quick recap. Starting on October 17th, it's Info Night on social media. I will be one of the presenters. That'll be in ATEC 200 and 202 from 6 to 8. There is a registration required. One of Adrienne's featured 3, Derek Kopsnyder, the comedian. AAB is presenting that. That will be on October the 18th at 7 p.m. with a post-show game night. The second part of Adrienne's featured 3 was the Fall Harvest. That will be on October 20th. Later that day, the Homecoming Dance from 9 to 12. And then, on the 21st, Root Beer, Kegs and Eggs in the ATEC Lounge from 12 to 2. We also talked about Terror Behind the Walls at Eastern State Penitentiary. That's going to be on October 25th. You can always email Adrienne Thoman at centralpenn.edu for any more information about any of these things. And of course, we're going to finish up on the 26th for the Humanities Film Series with Airplane special fundraiser for the College Pantry. Be there early, grab some food, throw a couple of dollars, bring some canned goods, bring anything that you think the students would need. And of course, stay around for a hysterical film. Adrienne, as always, it's always such a pleasure to have you on the show, and we really, really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. As always, I enjoy coming here to be grilled.
You're not grilled.
I'm kidding.
I haven't even thrown you any curveballs the last couple times. All right, and gentlemen, congratulations on how the soccer team's doing, and I just appreciate you guys being here today and being active members of the Nightly News. Dylan Kleintop and Andrew Day, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's it for the Nightly News podcast this week. Be sure to tune in next week. Every Tuesday, we release a new podcast on weeks 1 through 8 of the term. All right, for Professor Paul Miller, for Adrienne Thoman, for Andrew Day, and for Dylan Kleintop, we'll catch you next time on the Nightly News podcast.